I've always believed that the film industry has been an integral and a very important part of our culture. But 50, 60, 70 years ago, cinema in India was always looked upon as something that was infra-dig, something that children from good homes were not allowed to associate themselves with. But how wonderful to see the growth of Indian cinema through all these years, and how acceptable Indian cinema has become to the society of India. And I think I would like to compliment the Indian film industry and its great makers and its artists who have persevered through all these years in making cinema an integral part of our life. हम लोग जब किसी सिनेमा हॉल में जाते हैं फिल्म देखने के लिए और जब टिकट खरीदते हैं तो हम ये कभी पूछते नहीं कि हमारे बगल में जो बैठा है वो हिंदू है, मुसलमान है, ईसाई है. हम उसका रंग नहीं पूछते, हम उसकी जात नहीं पूछते हैं. लेकिन हम लोग एक ही सिनेमा हॉल के अंदर बैठकर, इस काले घर के अंदर बैठ करके जो फिल्म देखते हैं उसी गाने को गाते हैं सब लोग मिलकर. जहाँ रोना आता है हम सब लोग एक साथ रोते हैं. मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि भारतवर्ष में कोई भी ऐसी संस्था बची नहीं है जहाँ पर इस तरह का वातावरण, जहाँ एकता हो एक ही कमरे के अंदर, कहीं भी इसका उदाहरण आपको नहीं. So in many ways I feel that Indian cinema is a great integrator. And at a time when all of us are thinking separately, of wanting to do things separately, of bringing divides amongst ourselves, Indian cinema is one entity that is bringing all of us together. And I think I'm very proud to be associated.
When you have often said about the climax scene of Anand, that how you had prepared, and how Rishida said that this is not what I want. I think that's an interesting episode to communicate with them.
Anand came to me through the kind offices of Abbas. Khwaja Ahmad Abbas, I had worked with in South Hindustani. He took me to meet Rishikesh Mukherjee. I think somewhere he liked what he saw, and he offered me the role in Anand. Anand was a story that was going to be made with, I think, with Mr. Raj Kapoor. Rishikesh Mukherjee had a very long and close relationship with Mr. Raj Kapoor, and he felt that this was an ideal character that he should have played. I do not know who was going to play my role. But through time, it finally came to Rajesh Khanna. Rajesh Khanna was the epitome of superstardom. He was one artist that defined what a superstar was. And I don't think that the kind of frenzy and the public adulation that he enjoyed, nobody before and nobody after has been able to enjoy that kind of excitement that he would create. I didn't have a place to stay, so I was staying with my friend Anwar Ali, who was the brother of Mahmood Bhai, a great comedian. And when they came to know that I was offered this role, they were all very excited. So I discussed the characters with them. And then when I talked to them about the climax where Anand, Rajesh Khanna, he dies, and I have to come and weep and express my dialogues, I didn't know how I was going to do it. So during one of my discussions with Mahmood Bhai, he said, you have to think that Rajesh Khanna mar gaya hai. और तुम्हारे ऊपर क्या बीतेगी, because he was just an unbelievable human star at that point of time, and to think of something like that was just unimaginable. The kind of popularity and the adulation that he had, I mean, it's never been seen before. Having worked with him in 2 films, I was personally witness to many of the things that used to happen to Rajesh Khanna, so I can say that. So his thing was, you have to imagine that he is actually dead. How would you feel? So I prepared myself, and the scene was to be shot later on in the evening. And I think about 2 days before that, I stopped eating. I started preparing myself and thinking all the terrible things that could happen to me in my life. You know, death of close friends, family, how to get into that mood. Then Rajesh Khanna is lying there and he's going to die. I have to go there and emote. And after these 2 days when I was just filled up with every possible potential that I had, Rishida called me and said, okay, start sound, camera, clap, and action. And I just rushed there and everything that was within me, I just blurted it out. जितना इमोशन था वो सब कुछ मैंने वहाँ निकाल दिया और मेरे हिसाब से मुझे लगा कि मैंने बहुत अच्छा शॉट दिया है. ऋषिदा ने कहा कट ए अमित इधर आओ, इतना नहीं करने का है, बहुत ज्यादा कर दिया तुम, वापस जाओ, आहिस्ते से आओ, आराम से बोलो, इतना एक्साइटेड होने का नहीं है. So I went back and then I relaxed, and what you see in the film in the climax is what was finally approved.
So that in the same year you played a withdrawn husband in Abhiman, an obsessed lover in Parwana, and a very energetic man in Bombay to Goa. So after learning the lessons with Rishida, कि इतना नहीं करने का, how you learned to when to switch off, add on, withdraw, and play these different kind of complex characters?
I think it has a lot to do with the director of the film, and he has to guide you as to how he wants a particular scene and how much emotion should be there and how much energy you should put in. We as artists must follow the director, and when he tells us that you're not doing enough or you're doing less, then we just go ahead and do it. If we are professionals, then we should have the capability and the capacity to be able to enact that scene. So Abhiman was a fantastic subject, and again that was a subject that Rishida was going to make with somebody else. Much bigger people were going to be involved in that film. I think Kishore Kumar was it was written actually for him, and it was very apt because he was this very famous singer. And in real life, his first wife was also a very prominent singer. And many people used to like her voice. And therefore, the story was designed. But during the making of Abhiman, we were just guided by what Rishida used to say. Rishida was essentially an editor first. And I think that it's very important for every director to have knowledge of editing. Because when a director conceives a film, he knows exactly what he wants. And that is why it makes the job of a director the most difficult, I feel, because he has to have a visual of the entire film much before it is even shot or put together. Rishida, being an editor, had this great advantage of knowing exactly how he wanted which artist to move where. So there were many a times when we would come on set and he would say, "Acha, udhar khade ho jao, udhar se ghumo, idhar chal ke aao aur idhar baith jao, bas." So I said, "But Rishita, why am I? Bolne ka nahi, udhar khade ho jao, ghum ke idhar aake baith." So we used to just follow blindly what he used to ask us. "Abhi udhar jao aur ye khade ho karke ye dialogue bolo." But Rishita, kisko bolo? Bola na puchne ka nahi, tum bolo aise. So we used to go and say. The other thing with him used to be, he was very conservative in all his stories and in the way he made his sets. There were never ever any glamorous sets. If there was a room, he would just use a corner and he would put two flat pieces of set, one like this, and that's it. Nothing on top, nothing on the side, no furniture, nothing. Some, very essential furniture, and that's it. And clothes for artists. Nowadays you have, 10 people designing artists' clothes for them, this generation. And they will go all over the world and pick up all the expensive and fabulous clothing for them. But Rishida used to never bother about clothes. So when we used to go on set and report on set and say, "Rishida, fine, what is the scene?" सीन ने पूछने कहा तुम बस मेकअप करके जल्दी आओ. अच्छा ऋषिदा, ये हमारा ड्रेस क्या होगा? ये जो तुम पहना ये ठीक है. So after one or two films, we realized that whatever we are going to wear to go to the studio, he is going to say, you wear this and come on the set. Which was a terrible thing for us because we used to go very, really modestly dressed. So next, the third film, we decided that now we will wear and go what we want to wear in the film. So that when he says, yahi pehan ke aao, so it is according to our choice. So there were wonderful stories with Rishida, but always a lot of restraint. Because you talked of Abhiman, I must say that the music of Abhiman is eternal, and even now it is just incredible. And I have to say this with all due respect to everybody, that when Rishida and myself used to go to S.D. Burman's house, which is at the corner of where the Bandra market is now. And now a high-rise has come up. It was called, Jet was the name of the house. And when he used to sit and when he used to sing those songs in his voice, it was just incredible. What you hear in the film is not even 20% of what we used to feel when he used to sing those songs. So you can imagine the quality of the music that S.T. Burman created.
In the same decade, you were working with Prakash Mehra, Manmohan Desai, Salim Javed, Yash Chopra, and Manmohan Desai did the most outrageous things like get you out of an egg. And you sang that song and also spoke in that very fast tone. You ever questioned his madness and asked him that what are all these things you make me do?
Manmohan Desai was eccentric, as you saw from his little clip. But what a genius. Now everything that he did and asked us to do is just unimaginable. They were ridiculous stuff. They were crazy stuff. But for some peculiar reason, it used to work. My first film with Manmohan Desai was a film called Parvarish. And I was shooting with Rishikesh Mukherjee before that for, I think it was Abhiman, I'm not very sure. And soon after that, almost the very next day, I was doing the first shot with Manmohan Desai in a film called Parvarish. And it was a small little temple constructed. And I'm in uniform and I walk in there and I pay my respects to the god and put the tika and then slowly walk out. So the first day he said, idhar se aane ka hai? Or I said, okay. So looking at the moment, मंदिर है वहाँ पर, भगवान की मूर्ति है, so मैं बहुत श्रद्धापूर्वक यहाँ से चल करके आया, बहुत धीरे धीरे, और आहिस्ते से जा करके मैं ऐसे जो ड्योढ़ी होती है उस पर हाथ रखा और तिलक लगाने जा रहे थे, मन का कट 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 क्या, ए अमिताभ, ए यार ये ऋषिकेश मुखर्जी का पिक्चर नहीं है यार, तू जल्दी करना यार, क्या करने का, ये बंगाली पिक्चर नहीं है, हमको 1.5 घंटा लगा रहा टिकट लगाने में, the speed of the moment and the energy that was required was, he was an impatient person. एक shot खत्म नहीं होता था, he used to say, इधर आओ, इधर कैमरा इधर लगाओ, and he was, in that, and that used to get reflected in his movies. I'm sure that today's generation would have loved him and loved to work with him, because I find that today's generation is also very impatient. They don't feel like wasting too much time in what they want to say or do. If you were to count the number of editing cuts in a film like, say, Anand or, earlier films, and count the number of editing cuts that are in today's films, you would find that there are much greater editing cuts now than there are in those earlier films. पहले समय होता था, थोड़ा ठहराव होता था, आराम से डायलॉग बोले जाते थे, कैमरा धीरे धीरे, बहुत मुश्किल से धीरे धीरे ट्रॉली पे चलता था, अगर ट्रॉली शॉट लगाना हो तो ज़्यादातर एक जगह पर कैमरा खड़ा करके सब लोग को बोलते थे, आओ यहाँ बात करो. अब पता नहीं कहाँ ऊपर से नीचे से टेढ़े से एक सेंटेंस में 15 कट हो जाएंगे उसके. So that's the temperament. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm saying it's just the way the generation thinks now. So that was Manmohan Desai, and he did some of the most craziest things. But it always worked. I mean, when you look at the opening shot of Amar Akbar Anthony, it is a medical disaster.
There are many doctors here.
I mean, where in the world will you have 3 people lying on a hospital bed getting blood transfusion from 1 bottle and 3 pipes going into 3 different people? But you know, in the movie hall, when the movie started and the credit title and said, नाम क्या है तुम्हारा? उधर एक कैमरा उधर पे गया, वो पड़ा हुआ, उसमें खून जा रहा है, बोलता था अमर, ये दूसरे पे आ गया अकबर, Anthony. By the time that was finished, there was the unbelievable applause, because this mother's blood that was in this 1 bottle was going to the 3 sons. I mean, who would have thought about that? It's just a medical impossibility. Nobody does that. But Manmohan decided it. And it worked.